Okay, well, I think we'll get started. Good morning, everyone. And on behalf of the Spanish Chamber of Commerce in the UK, I'd like to give you a very warm welcome to today's webinar, which is on the topic of how to achieve optimal level of digitisation for your business. We're thrilled to be holding this session in collaboration with Axis Corporate, which is an international management consulting firm which are members of the Spanish Chamber of Commerce in the UK. So I'd like to just begin by introducing our two panelists for today's session. So we're joined by Jean-Jacques Benoun, who is a digital and innovation partner at the firm, and he has more than 20 years experience in business consulting with an international track record. As the responsible partner in the digital and innovation area at Axis Corporate, he helps companies to generate value through transformation with operational, organizational and technology transformation services, collaborating with financial directors and system directors. We're also joined by Enrique Lara, who is the Director of Digital and Innovation at Axis Corporate. He has more than 17 years of experience in the technology and business transformation consulting sectors, where he has successfully managed numerous and diverse projects in both Europe and Latin America. So following on from their presentation today, you're going to have the opportunity to ask both Jean-Jacques and Enrique any questions that you might have. So please, you can do this by submitting your questions either via the chat function or the Q&A function that you'll see at the bottom of your screen there. We'll answer as many as we have time for, and if we run out of time, we will also be circulating their email addresses so you can ask any follow-up questions afterwards as well. Now, without further ado, Jean-Jacques, I'll hand over to you.
Thank you, Anna. First of all, we want to agree with the Spanish Chamber of Commerce of the United Kingdom to give us the opportunity to present our company and our vision of digital transformation program. I will begin with a brief introduction about our company, Axis Corporate, and directly we will go to the core of the webinar, which is how we could manage digital transformation and be successful with our company clients. Okay, so Axis Corporate, as you told Anna, is an international management company created 15 years ago. We deliver value to our clients, accelerating business growth through transformation. You will hear today a lot of time transformation, which is the core word of our services. Okay, so we focus on three main areas: revenue, efficiency, and risk mitigation. And clients normally recognize two main characteristics of consultant: business tangible, result oriented, and also we are passionate to do the project with the client. Okay, we are not doing project only for client, but with clients. And that's why more than 20% of our clients repeat with us or trust us to help them in new area. Our main services are oriented with value generation, considering the company momentum. It could be fusion, it could be increase, it could be restructuration. Each one has his momentum, and we act on customer and growth value, which is revenue, operation performance excellence, which means efficiency and cost reduction, and also control risk and manage risk management. Okay, so additionally to those three issues, there is one important lever, which is the change management and the culture of the whole staff alignment. Okay. Here you have the vision of how we are focus the approach of digital innovation transformation program. Our core business is to deliver value, which is in the center of this graph, and to be sure that digital and innovation strategy are fully aligned with the corporate and business strategy. Okay, for that, as I told before, there is three main pillars: customer value and growth, which is how to help to improve sales model, sales performance, new business model, new product launches. The second one is operation performance and excellence, how to digitize operation, how to reduce cost, how to be more flexible and agile to make their operation. And the third one would be all the risk management control. Okay, what we take here, risk management. Okay, with another transversal pillar, or level, which is the change management. Okay, there is no digital transformation program without talent and culture specific initiative. Okay, it could be increase skills, competency. It could be spirit changes, and also it could be how to identify key people to empower the change in the company. If we could, okay, so what are the main impact for digital transformation programs? Okay, which are the main impact? Here we usually speak about two main impact. Okay, the first one is how to increase digital capabilities. Digital capabilities mean basically three main features. Focus on customer experience. Everybody is talking digital is focused on customer experience, but also focus on employee experience. And those two things have to be aligned. It's not only employee experience inside the company, it's employee experience focus on client. The second feature is how to digitize operation and business processes. It's talking about efficiency, RPA, chatbot, blockchain, all the new technology, all innovation processes to a more agile and more efficiency your operation. And the third thing, depending of the company, could be how to create a new business model or how to add it or enhance the current business model. Okay, that's the first impact. Digital capability. The second one is more focused on how to generate or to align a new leadership. Okay, in this case, there will be four main features. The first one is the really important one. How we could align all the executive committee and the whole company with a strategy aligned with the corporate strategy. Digital strategy can be different and separate to the corporate strategy. The second thing is how to empower the organization. It could be identify key people, but everybody has to be in the boat to ensure the success of this program. Third one is a specific governance model for the digital transformation. Normally, there is a dedicated area. It could be only a digital area, or it could be a digital innovation area with a dedicated team to manage the program from the beginning, and at the end of the implementation, to manage the change, the enhancement, new initiative. Okay, so it's not a PMO for a project, it's a new area or a dedicated area with the control of all the digital transformation program. And the last one will be develop technology capabilities. It could be inside the company with innovation radar or technology literacy, but it could be also with a partnership with provider, with startup, to comply all the implementation program objectives.
Talking about which should be the main reasons that we used to find because of the fail of the digital transformation, you've got several on your screen, but the main ones are, first of all, the lack of a clear digital strategy. The truth is that many companies have already begun to follow the path of digital transformation, but without a clear defined digital strategy, or at least not openly communicating across all the main stakeholders that will be part of it and will participate on it. So logically, it is, if there is not a clear idea about where do we want to go or what we want to achieve, any program, we are talking about a total program transformation, that may start without any clear view about which are the main objectives, could be always significantly improved. The second one is that the digital transformation has to be focused on customer satisfaction and also employee satisfaction. So within the digital transformation, the client and employee experience must be the strategic focal point of the company. So the challenge here is that the companies are not really used to follow that approach. And if the client or employer experience are not the focal point of this digital transformation, the success will be limited. So the third one is to use or to follow an inappropriate change management process. Here, talking about the digital transformation, we should consider that the change management that will be required within this kind of programs goes beyond the execution of a communication plan and a stakeholder management, whatever. So it is important to achieve a true change in culture of the company and also a real change on human capital management. Talking here about human capital management, we are including talent management, the skills and competences management, the performance management. So a lot of things that usually talking about the change management stuff, they are not really considered. The fourth issue that we used to find on the digital transformation programs is that sometimes digital transformation programs are planned without considering all the levers, the key levers. It is not just about introducing some technological improvements that will allow us to think that having all this technical stuff, we are already ready to achieve this transformation. It is necessary to include additional topics such as cultural change, improvement of the customer experience, improvement of the employee experience, the use of the data that we are going to receive, and how efficient are or is our operating model. And the last main reason that we used to find is the use of the quality of the data that the companies currently have. The data quality right now is not good enough, and this situation implies that the current knowledge that they have of their clients is not the most accurate one. So with data that does not have enough quality, the results are not going to be trustable. So moving into the digital approach and the main levers that we have, from our point of view, this approach should be based on 4 work streams. The first one is to identify why we want the digital transformation for and what we want to obtain from this digital transformation. So to answer this question, first, we must define our digital strategy. Here we are talking about mission and vision, and also which strategic objectives are we going to achieve, which strategic targets we want to achieve. In addition to this, we should execute a digital maturity assessment, understanding which is the starting point, which is the current situation that the company has, which is the assist situation with regards to this digital maturity level. So once we have this maturity assessment, and also having the strategic targets and having a benchmark regarding which is the digital maturity level of the sector that we are playing in, we will be able to decide which digital maturity level should be defined as the aspirational level for the company. And we should highlight here that not always all the company have to achieve the same maturity level, because it will depend, as we are explaining right now, on their strategy, the market that they are in, and the situation that they currently have. So to execute this digital maturity assessment, Axis has a specific framework, which is called Axis Digital Quadrant. So we execute this digital maturity assessment considering 6 key levers which should be part of any digital transformation program. And you've got here the 6 levels, and we've got digital transformation. Here we are including several topics such as business model, how developed is the innovation within the company, how well defined is the digital strategy, etc. The second one is customer, and here we have to analyze which are the communication channels that the company is currently using, how accurate is the client knowledge that the company has. With regards to technology, we are going to review a lot of things such as IT strategic plans, the technology infrastructure, which will support the business model, the new business model that we are going to define with this transformation program. And also, we will have to analyze how the cybersecurity is being managed. With regards to data value, in this level, we will include data quality, the data use, and also the data governance. So moving into operation, or with regards to operations, what we will check is how efficient is the operating model in order to support these new business models that we are going to define with this new digital strategy. And finally, the culture, organization, and people. We are going to be focused on employee experience, the organizational culture, and also the management of the new capabilities and competences, skills that we are going to require. So moving into the second work stream, which is focused on design, its main aim will be to define which aspects we should be focused on to achieve a successful digital transformation. We will have to define which initiatives will allow us to achieve the strategic targets and the aspirational maturity level that we have already agreed on the previous work stream. These initiatives should be prioritized based on two facts. One is the impact that this initiative will have, and the second one is the implementation effort to have this initiative in place. This will allow us to have a final list of initiatives that could be included in our transformation roadmap, and also that will help us to define the critical path that we will have to follow in order to complete this digital transformation trip successfully. So therefore, we must define a roadmap including all the projects that we will have to deploy to achieve the aspirational digital maturity level that we have already agreed on the previous phases. So additionally to all these steps that we are managing and executing, we will have to define a governance model for this transformation program. This governance model will help us to manage all the projects and also will help us to manage all existing dependencies that we are going to find among all the initiatives and among all the projects that are going to be related to these initiatives. So finally, we will have a clear roadmap with a specific calendar, and we will have an estimated budget for the overall cost of the transformation program, of the digital transformation programs. So in order to manage this program, we will also have a governance model that will ensure us the quality during the program execution. So finally, we've got these two work streams that are going to be executed once we've got defined the roadmap that we must follow. So right now, we after having this roadmap, we will have to execute these two work streams jointly and in a cycle sequence. So we'll have to move the organization with an appropriate stakeholder engagement and the suitable change management execution, aligning all the organization to the roadmap. Otherwise, if the organization is not aligned, the roadmap could be pretty well defined, but it's not going to be a successful deployment. And also we will have to adapt the organization to the new upcoming requirements. We were talking previously, but we are going to manage new skills, new capabilities. So we will have to adapt the organization to these new upcoming requirements, new talent management with new skills and competencies, and new performance management to reward new ways of working. And also we have to ensure that these new ways of working are correctly adopted by the organization. So, moving into the maturity assessment, when we are talking about the execution of a digital maturity assessment, we used to start with the self-assessment of the company. We used to use, or we use specific surveys that the company has to complete. And once we have this self-assessment completed, what we used to do is interviewing the key stakeholders within the organization to double check whether this self-assessment is correct, or if we should introduce any adjustment to obtain an accurate maturity assessment, the current one that the company has. That would be the black line. So once we have this black line, what we used to do is we used to provide the existing digital maturity level within the sector, coming from our benchmark. So we have right now the self-assessment maturity level. We've got the benchmarking maturity level that we provide, and based on this information, we will be able to define which should be the aspirational maturity level that the company should reach. So also defining or trying to explain how to define the digital transformation, the digital strategy, sorry. Here we should highlight that to define this digital strategy, it is essential to have the steering committee and the key holders completely involved on this definition, in order to ensure that all the organization is going to be aligned and on board of this program, this transformation program. So first step that we have to take is to define what we want to achieve with this digital transformation. We will have to define the mission and the vision, as I told you previously. Then we must define the strategic priorities that should guide our path or our program throughout all the phases that we are going to execute. Then these strategic priorities will help us also to define the strategic targets. These objectives or targets will also help us to monitor and to track our progress, the progress that we are going to have in all the projects that we are going to include within our transformation program. And finally, we must identify the required initiatives that we will have to develop to achieve these strategic targets. These initiatives should be also prioritized to implement them or to deploy them in a successful way. And remember that we have to prioritize these initiatives based on two facts. One is the impact and the other one is the effort. So we want to share some lessons learned that we have across all the projects that we have developed. And we are sharing here some, which are the main strategic priorities. The first one is the creation of the digital transformation and innovation area. And if it is not created, and if it is created, we use to optimize the existing operating model of this area. The second one is to improve the customer experience and the branding positioning. The third one is develop people culture. And the fourth one is to enhance operations efficiency. So maybe we can relate these 6 levels to these 4 main strategic priorities, because using and managing this and following these 4 strategic priorities, we are going to enhance and to manage these 6 levels without any issue. And finally, what we have is to focus once we have all the initiatives identified and prioritized, what we must to do is now we have to build the roadmap. This roadmap will allow us to identify the critical path and also will help us to estimate which are going to be the required resources. Always talking about time and budget in order to execute these digital transformation programs. Now the question is, okay, now we have to do a roadmap, and how will we build or create these roadmaps? So we will have to start, or the starting point is to estimate the required resources, time and money, to execute the initiatives previously defined. On the other hand, we should have already identified the projects that will support these initiatives. So having the initiatives already prioritized, what we will have is also the projects which are related to that initiatives already prioritized. So with all this information, the roadmap and the critical path could be defined. Within this roadmap, we will know which projects will be or should be executed, when they will be executed, what dependencies will exist between or among the projects. And also, we will be able to identify the critical path that we must to follow to successfully complete the digital transformation. So additionally, to ensure that the digital transformation program will be deployed with required quality, we must define a solid governance model that ensure this quality during the program deployment by managing all the dependencies, risks, impact of each project, etc. Remember that here we are going to be managing a lot of levels. So the transformation program is not only focused on the IT part of the company. So we are talking about a complete or a total transformation program that will affect to all the organizational structure. So the management of all the dependencies risk is going to be slightly tough. So the final step is to execute a change impact assessment to identify which change management should be taken to ensure correct adoption and to define a high-level change management plan. So here we are not talking about the change impact assessment of each of the projects that we are going to have, but at least we are talking about a change impact assessment of all the program, trying to identify which are going to be the most critical key stakeholders and trying to establish which are going to be the main actions that the change management plan should be taken and should consider. So I know it's a lot of information. We were pretty fast. Right now, I'm completely sure that you've got a lot of questions. So any doubt that you should have, should you have any comments or doubts, please don't hesitate in asking them.
Thank you very much. That was very, very informative. Thank you both, Jean-Jacques and Enrique, for all the information that you shared with us there. So yeah, we do have a little bit of time for some questions now. As I mentioned before, you can enter these either in the chat function or the Q&A function that you'll see at the bottom of the screen there. Okay, one question that we've then got to kick us off to either of you speakers is, how can I explain to my client that the degree of digital maturity of their company is inferior to what they think?
Well, that is a tough situation, to be honest. The truth is, once you've got all your maturity matrix all well defined, I mean, what we have is we've got several levels. We've got several maturity level per each of the levels. So we've got a detailed description about which is the level or which is the level on each level. So trying to explain which are the findings that we found during our interviews and the work that we are doing, explaining that correctly, I think that the client will finally understand what we are saying, why they have a different view, and why what we are sharing with them is the correct approach.
Okay, brilliant. Is there anything that you would like to add to that, Jean-Jacques? Or
yes, here we use two steps. The first one is a digital survey. So each people need from 15 to 20 minutes to comply the survey. We integrate it and make an automatic dashboard in a BI tool to present the result. The second step is to focus on qualitative interview, okay? Because when we ask, for example, there is a defined digital strategy with this kind of axes and the documentation by a committee and so on, the answer is yes or not. In the interview, we want to see it. And we want to measure if it's aligned with the answer, okay? So to give you an example, in the last project we done outside of Spain, there was more or less 90 people for the survey and 40 people because we decide to have not only all the executive committee, but a representative of each subsidiary, which are more or less 37. Okay, so you have to filter all the information and to be sure that your self-assessment is correct. The second issue is how to convince the executive committee that the result is the good one, because normally the client suppose that it's better than the result you present. So we have to convince them why you are not in 3 point and you are in 1.7. Okay. The third thing is what Enrique presented, which is the benchmarking of his peer. It could be in the country, could be in the sector. Sometimes we always combine sector because it's important for a client to understand that in your sector, that's the trend, but there are other sectors and you have to some learning lesson which could be useful at the moment to develop your own program. Okay, and the last one is to align everybody to the objective, what we call the aspirational maturity model, which is the base of the second phase of the project, which is how to define the strategy. Because to define the strategy, I need to have at least a vision of where I want to go. Sometimes we are talking about digital transformation, but there is no one way to do it. All clients are not digitize everything. Sometimes you could create a new branch or growth activity, a new product, and decide that, and we done it for a consumer finance entity, there was focus on leasing and renting car, financiation, and now they open a bank. So the new bank is fully digital. All the onboarding for client, all the operative model is based on technology and digital tool to build a better customer experience. Okay, so when we are talking about digital program, we are not talking about to reimagine the whole company. It could be a part of one. Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay, another question we've had is, how important do you both think that technology is to a company's digitalization project?
Even if I'm in charge of digital innovation, I will say that is the less important. Okay, and we will be a little bit provocative. Okay, because technology will update and enhance. Actually, we are in a client with a 3-year roadmap implementation. So it's clear that in the next 2 years, there will be a new tool for biometric identification with new technology. What is really clear is to have the priority and to make 50% of the program, and that's the case in the current client we are doing, on 17 projects. There is 9 focus on employee experience and culture change. Okay? And sometimes we forget that. I remember an executive for a Spanish bank told me that I don't understand something. We launch a lot of digital tool for our client. My employee don't use it. How they could convince the client to use it if they don't use it? So technology is important. I think innovation is more important, and also how to give more capabilities and to train people and to change a culture. That's the key point. And sometimes, and maybe our assistant today could validate that. In a lot of projects at the beginning, the human resource director is not integrated in the committee. It's like digital transformation is not a technological program. If you only focus on digital on technological program, in 2 years you could repeat your project.
So somehow technology is an enabler, but it is not the key topic that we have to manage. And also maybe we should highlight something, which is technology, or the clients used to focus on the technology, technology part, of the digitalization part. But there is also a very important part, which is the innovation. Without that level of innovating or innovation, you will not be able to do this digital transformation, because you are not going to be aware about what is really happening, and what you could do with the current situation that you have and the current market that you are in.
At the end, you could be a follower of what others done, but it's not your program.
Fair enough, thank you. So someone's asked a question that's a bit more specific to Access Corporate. They've asked, how can Access Corporate help me with developing my company's vision and digital strategy? I guess vision linked to digital strategy there.
But here we used to say that are flexible in terms of assessment. Some kind of project could be only to make the Access digital quadrant, is to help the client to assume his digital maturity in this moment, and to help him to develop the objective of the new maturity model. That could be a part of the project. And normally there is the 2 main phases Enrique comment, which is assess and envision, and focus and design is a one only project. Okay, it could be done depending on the company, but with our tool and with our methodology between 2 and 3 months. Okay, once we define the implementation roadmap, here there is several models. Sometimes we have like a digital transformation office. We manage for the client all the program, but we are not executing project. We are making the measurement, the KPIs, how we are improving our digital skills and so on. Okay. Sometimes we have some project in the program or one or two of the work stream. Is okay, I recognize that Axis could help me to digitize my operation or to help me to achieve the culture transformation. Okay. And sometimes there is only one project in the whole project. Okay, so we are not expected to run everything. I think our different value is at the beginning of the project to be open, to have a strong benchmarking of different sector. And for example, we just make a benchmarking for the financial sector in Central America for a client. Okay, so we have a specific area of knowledge management. We have a specific platform to make a vigilancy for technological aspect and also competitive intelligence. And I think that the main value. After we could do a good project, but we are not so different to implement a digital dashboard or to implement ERPA. Here, depending on the technology, there is certainly a consultant better than us, or at least. But I think our really value is to help the company to align the objective and to create his own vision and his own roadmap for his digital journey.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, well, I know we don't have much time left, but we just have one more question, which I think is nice to kind of round up this session today. So what do you both think that the future holds with regards to the digitalization of businesses?
What an open question.
Fairly open question, yeah.
I think, and I will say the same example. My mother is 86 and she has more money than I in the bank. I always say to the banker, don't send it email. Don't give him an app. She can't use it. So what's your future? You want to digitize everything and forget those clients. If this client is sustainable for you, if they are a good margin for you. So the main issue is to be sure what I want to digitize, not all my business. Or maybe I want to create a business from scratch, full digital. Okay, that's the future.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, I'm completely agree. I think that right now all the companies are rethinking about which is their maturity level of digitalization, and they are realizing that maybe they have to stop trying to digitalize everything, and they are doing taking a step back in order to be more close to the client, but not with digital channels, but with the human touch, which is sometimes we are finding a lack of it. So I think that the digitalization surname that right now the transformation has, we are going to delete it soon. We are going to keep the digitalization and the technology as an enabler, but not as the key one. So.
Fair enough. Great. Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, thank you very much, both of you. And I think, yeah, well, that will conclude our webinar then. So thank you both so much, Enrique and Jean-Jacques, for sharing all of your insight and knowledge with us. And thank you everyone for joining us today. I will be circulating in a follow-up email. There will be the presentation that was used during this webinar and also a link to the recording if you would like to watch it again or share it with anyone that of your colleagues or contacts that you think it could be of interest to. And if you have any further questions for Jean-Jacques and Enrique, I will include their, well, as I mentioned, sorry, their information there. So please do feel free to contact them with any follow-up questions. And yeah, keep an eye on the Spanish Chamber website for news about other upcoming online events. Thank you both again so much for your time today.
You're welcome. Yeah.